something, and I'm speaking for your IT band, you don't want it too loose. It's supposed to be tight to a certain extent to support your knee. You're not going to get loose anyway. You can try because it's going, no, that's not my nature. And I'm taking this easy down into the lower lateral compartment of the leg. And then addressing the side of the foot. Simple things when coming down, that you want to have this contact here, so it's not bone on bone. So you see the side of his, inside of his leg is supported by his arch of his foot. So it can take pressure, right? It's not bone on bone. Is that okay?
That's awesome.
So little things to look at. Okay, so that. And then when you come down to the ankle, the lateral malleolus here, you can compress. I like to compress spanning the joint a little bit because it opens up the ankle joint. So you obviously you compress above and below, but it's important, I feel, this let your toes mold over that and press down because it opens up. You know, there's supporting ligamentous all around the ankle to keep it stable when you're walking or twisting. So this gives it a nice stretch. And then continue it down into this heel compression, however you choose to make contact. So nice. And you can just see the line. It's sort of like this, the pole, right? It's just like that. And then I always am turning so I have clearer contact with the foot. Right? Easy. Okay. And then we're going to come and do the other side. So just relax. Relax, baby breath. So same on this side, right? Again, pay attention. Here's greater trochanter of the femur. I'm hooking above it so that the side of my foot compresses down and away from the hip. Right? You loosen it, and then you can turn and be a little bit more specific. So, come over here now. There's a lot of movement in this one. A couple of things about when you're applying pressure with your foot that you may or may not know. So this general compression here is compressing into the muscle but away, because you can see that motion here, how it's opening the hip. And then there's this space here where you feel the ASIS, and right behind it there's this little concavity. Your heel fits so yummily right in there. So here's the thing. You want to have nice compression in there, but you don't have to sweat it so much. If you make contact, and rather than push harder with your heel, if you lift your foot up more, that's what creates the pressure. Because your foot's a giant lever, right? So when you make contact in one point, yes, you can push here. Cool. For me, too much exertion. But I'll simply lift my foot to create more pressure. So try that when you're working. You know, when you're doing flat-footed compression, if you're trying to get more pressure, try lifting your foot up so that the heel goes in more. You can see how his eyebrows popped up a little bit. That's a good indicator that the pressure's more. And then we're going to continue down, right? So just think of it as this fluid thing that you're moving, and it's evolving all the time when you're moving. Because you could kid yourself into thinking you know what you're doing, but you don't know what you're doing until you start doing it. So it's like, okay, I'm going to come. Okay, this feels pretty good. And make nice contact, right? But I'm switching around to make sure I feel what's good. Right? How my body is generally in line, so I keep the work in front of me. I'm not so much working a lot of times this way. Even though this works fine because you can do downward pressure in a way, when I'm doing flat-footed compression, I just like to come right at it. Your intention's a little different, maybe. So here I'm changing, just because this feels better coming at it from this way for me. I can address the lateral compartment of the leg this way. And then down. And again, look at how good you're so good, Brad, right now. Right in this moment, you're just so good. Present. So again, from this position, what I was talking about was this, you know, compressing, but compressing down and away. See how you want to try to open here, right? You want to try to open here. So compression of this also down. Right. Okay, so now, since we lulled them into a sense of complacency, we'll bring them. Pillow goes out of frame, and we're going to come up, and we're going to come and start working on abdomen. So, here's the thing. Putting your foot on the abdomen, crazy, right? But, you know, just be easy and think about what you're doing. So we're going to start inside foot, and we're going to feel for the sternum, and just below the sternum is where we're going to start. Our big toes, right below the sternum. And we're just going to rest ever so easy there. Right? So easy. And we're going to work with the person's breath. So as Brad inhales, I'm going to move my foot, and on the exhale, I'm just going to sink in. And my toes are going up underneath the rib cage. Because fascially, that's where the diaphragm gets caught the most. And you're only going in as much as their breath allows you to. Meaning, you know, this is a vulnerable area, and now we're stepping on it. You want to make sure that you're cautious about how you're applying pressure. And if you're just going with their breath, that gives them a sense that they are indeed in control, and they can relax a little bit more. So the toes are dressing up underneath the rib cage, and then as I get to this below the rib cage, I'm just turning my foot. I'm turning my foot, and then as we can transition into the other side, I'm going to do a nice neutral position. So here's Brad's navel there, and I'm going to come with the heel below that, and still above, obviously, the pubic ramus. So we're in the area where in Chinese medicine they call the hara, the center. So as he inhales, you can see his body coming up, and on the exhale you just sink in as much as the breath allows. And then we're just going to simply to address this side. Turn. Let's do that again, Brad. Inhale. Get them eyebrows up as high as you can. Up higher, higher. Up. Okay, so this is a pivot. And then we're just simply going to come like this. Inhale, please. And exhale. Easy up underneath the rib cage. And again, I emphasize only as much as their breath allows. So you're working with their breath continually as you're working on their abdomen. And then we're going to finally end where we started. Right? And then the transition from this up into the arms, which we'll do after lunch, is just moving up a little bit, and then a little stabilization. Inhale, please. On the flat sternum. Because then from there, we're going to transition into the arms. Okay, thank you. So we'll try that.